Meeting of the Orange Township Board of Trustees to order on March 5th. Would you please call the roll, Fiscal Officer Batten?
Trustee Ringle.
Here.
Trustee Faust.
Here.
Trustee Knapp.
Here.
Will you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Do we have any public comment today? Does not appear so. I think we're going to have a presentation on utility aggregation renewal later in the meeting. Do we have any general announcements?
I feel like we're missing one, but maybe not.
Events-wise,
Nothing?
next is the parade. Is really the biggest thing we're working on. Lewis Center Business Connect met this morning, but I wasn't able to attend.
Source Point had their first caregiver course, was it yesterday?
Yesterday?
Yes,
Yes.
yesterday, and they had a full turnout, and I heard it went really well, and we have another one planned tomorrow
It's tomorrow.
evening.
I'm going to that one, so I'm excited to learn.
Yeah, so I think it's exciting that we're starting to do more programming for our older adult community, and looks like because of that, we'll continue on and schedule further dates.
Yeah, we appreciate SourcePoint working with us as, you know, our community ages, and I don't know, I'm staying. So it's helpful as I get older to learn new things.
Yeah, and we are looking at doing something with the health district too. This would be, the health district's looking to do education seminars on diabetes knowledge, fall prevention, flu vaccine info, healthy eating, know your numbers, and social connection / mental health. So there's a variety of topics that they offer. We're looking at scheduling some programming with them in May.
Great.
That's all I have.
I can't think of anything else.
Yeah, have anything
Maybe I
else?
will later.
A little bit of a lull. Do we have any agenda changes today?
I do have two under operations report. We will have the project manager appointment, and then we have a couple other resolutions that fall as we had two staff members that acted in interim capacities during that. So that's all I have as under the agenda.
Okay. Do we need to adjust resolution numbering?
I think as long as we stick to the numbers in the template, we don't need to necessarily rearrange the order.
Okay.
Yeah.
Next agenda item, I believe, is the approval of the consent agenda. Is there any discussion on the consent agenda?
I have none.
All right, hearing none, I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda for the regular meeting held on March 5th, 2025, which includes Resolution 2573, approving the electronic record of the proceedings from the zoning hearing held on February 13th, 2025, and the regular meeting held on February 19th, 2025, as well as Resolution 2574, approving purchase orders, then and now purchase orders, and blanket purchase orders as listed.
Second?
Roll call. Trustee Knapp.
Yes?
Trustee Faust.
Yes.
Trustee Ringle.
Yes. Next on the agenda is our development and zoning report. Director Duffy.
Good afternoon, trustees. And we'll go through the hearings and meetings report, and then we do have two resolutions to schedule public hearings following. Starting off, we had a zoning hearing yesterday evening here in this room at 5 p.m. That was for the proposed EPCON amendment to the Evans Farm single-family plan residential district. That was approved by the board with modifications. We do have a zoning commission meeting scheduled for next Tuesday, March 11th at 6:30 p.m. here in this room. There are two agenda items on that evening's agenda. First is continuing our discussion of the zoning code rewrite. The second is an amendment for a plain commercial district off of Rail Timber Way to amend that district to allow for the construction of a restaurant on that parcel. We also have a Board of Zoning Appeals meeting scheduled for Thursday, March 20th at 6 p.m. There are two agenda items on that evening's agenda. The first is a conditional use for a monument sign for the Cove at Evans Farm. The second is for an area variance, also in Evans Farm, for a single-family home to encroach on the front yard setback. There was previously items for wall sign variances for the Walmart and the North Point Shopping Center. They have withdrawn their application for those wall signs. And then the two items that are tabled on the hearings and meetings report, the first is the Route 23 application, RCOD 23-03, for property at 79 Parkway, for the Parkway Plaza project. They have resubmitted plans to our office and are requesting that their hearing be scheduled. So that is one of the resolutions that we have before you. The second is the requested amendment to the Plain Commercial District for property at 3812 East Powell Road for the proposed marijuana dispensary on that property. They have also requested to take their application off the table and schedule a public hearing.
Has either of those two applicants provided additional, like their updated drawings yet, or?
I do have additional documentation from the Parkway application.
Okay, and that's what was in our boxes, I think I actually.
Correct,
got
so
that.
I believe physical copies are in your mailboxes. I don't believe I've sent the digital version out, but I will get that out shortly.
Is the graphic that's on this report the previous one?
That is from the previous submittal,
Okay, so
yes.
that's not the new one, okay. And then we haven't received anything on the marijuana dispensary yet?
I have not. I will confirm with them whether or not they are intending to submit updated documentation.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so scheduling for the Parkway one, we do need to capture that in the 30-day window. So I was throwing out some dates. I think March 31st or April 2nd would be available. April 1st, our legal counsel is not, so.
So Monday or Wednesday that week?
Wednesday is best for me if that works for other people.
Yeah, so that's a regular trustee meeting, but I can plan.
For sure.
I prefer the second.
Wednesday works so well for me.
Okay. At 5 o'clock?
Yeah.
And then if we wanted to figure out the schedule for the next one, we did get written confirmation that they are asking for a time early mid-April.
Can we do the following week? Like, we don't have to do two in 1 week, do we?
Nope.
No.
Okay.
Are they asking for like the 9th or the 16th? Or, I mean, in the first 2 weeks or the?
Yeah, I would say something the week of the 7th or the week of the 14th.
So on the 9th, I was meeting with Girl Scouts here, which I could push, however, I've already pushed
No, don't
once.
worry. I
Yeah.
think there's lots of days
Okay.
available.
Yeah, I would avoid the April 8th because we might have zoning commission that evening, and then April 17th is BZA.
What about the 16th?
That's another trustee day, but we can
Is that
do
going to be
it.
a lot? Or we don't know?
It says, I have senior academic awards on my calendar. I don't think my senior is going to be attending such an event, but I don't know.
What time is that at?
I don't know. Sorry.
Is that the 16th? though?
Yeah. But if that doesn't happen, then,
We-
Yeah, I mean, the 7th, 14th, 15th, the 10th, those four can work too. 7, 10, 14, 15.
I'm unavailable the 10th.
okay. Yeah, I'm also unavailable the 10th. The
So-
14th is the best for me.
So 7, 14, 15.
We have to set it tonight for that date. We can't wait to the next meeting
No.
to check.
What's your schedule?
Well, that Wednesday is the best, but if you don't, I
Sorry.
could do, let's see, 14. You said the 17th is not available?
That's BZA,
Okay.
yeah.
And no 10th, right? No.
No 10th. Right now, I'm
Not the
just,
15th. Wait, you said not the 15th.
oh, no, I think you guys can all do the,
Can you do the 15th, Mike?
Yes.
Yeah,
15th is fine for me.
yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
April
Tax
15th.
day,
Yeah, that's the only thing I have in my calendar.
Okay.
I think so.
Your return's in early.
Does that work?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's
Yes.
good for me. At 5.
Okay, thank you.
All right, any other items on the report?
I have nothing further.
Okay, thank you very much. Any other discussion on those scheduling resolutions? All right, I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2575, schedule hearing date for RCOD 23 Parkway Plaza for April 2nd at 5 PM.
Second? Second?
Roll call, trustee Nab,
Yes?
trustee Faust,
Yes.
trustee Ringo,
Yes. I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2576, schedule hearing date for ZON 24-9 for 3812 East Powell Road on April 15th at 5 PM.
Second?
roll call, trustee Nab,
Yes?
trustee Faust,
Yes.
trustee Ringo,
Yes.
Okay, can I ask that we put this, like, we notice this above and beyond what we have to do, just because these are both very, people have lots of thoughts on
Can
these
you
two
elaborate on what
applications.
above and beyond
So like, can we
means?
put the sign out on the properties now? Can we make sure that they're not falling over when it rains? Can we put it, obviously we put it on our Facebook, we'll email the people, this week to let them know that it's coming.
The
People who
neighboring
have-
HOAs as well.
Yeah, the neighboring HOAs, even if, like, the leaders of those HOAs to encourage to push it out, like, let's be as transparent as we can be. We know we're always as transparent as we have to be. but
Yeah, I
let's be
just-
as we.
I
as
mean, we
much-
should do that with all of the applications if we're gonna do it with this one, though, because,
Yeah,
I
which I think we should do. Yeah.
guess people aren't paying attention.
Okay, yeah, we can make sure the zoning signs are out. We will obviously send the legal notifications, and we will put something on our Facebook page.
Okay. Thanks. Just sooner if we can, just since we know it, they're a
Yeah,
month
the
out.
more angry mobs, the better.
If I can do that on Monday, since our communications person's
Yeah.
not here. Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
It'll be out next week.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, our next agenda item is our operations report. Director Bowers.
Thank you, Mr. Ringel. On the operations agenda tonight, you'll see a agreement with Columbia Gas. This is related to Bale Canyon Phase 2. Columbia Gas is the only utility who requires a agreement in order to relocate their utilities within the right-of-way. So we've been working with legal to try to come to an agreement here, and obviously there's some legal language with some of these form agreements that can be a little challenging. So in the backup, you'll see that agreement. The agreement itself seems to be good with legal and good with the township. There is some language still pertaining to the actual easement that Columbia Gas may need that we're still kind of adjusting and making sure it's accurate. So in an effort to keep this moving along and to get Columbia Gas the agreement for compensation and the agreement for the township to do the work, I'd like to recommend to the board to go ahead and approve this. We'll continue working with legal on the slight language that's still out there on the actual easement side. And then as soon as that section of it's done, we can give Columbia Gas the green light, which means they can go ahead. And it looks like they're ready to go. They've been marking and flagging and everything looks ready to dance. And that will then kickstart the rest of the utility relocation, which will then kickstart the actual bidding process for the construction of Bale Canyon Phase 2. The other things you'll see on the operations list are, it's a long time coming with the work of HR Mike. Excited to bring forth to the board a recommendation to appoint Phil Miller as our project manager. If you recall, 2 years ago, when Alex Rosansky went on military leave, we kind of did some patchwork, assigned Dave Gilson and Kim Mahaney a little bit of that job to try to bridge the gap while Alex is gone. We recently went through a pretty lengthy process of applications and interviews and are very much excited to recommend Phil Miller for the new project manager position. I think Phil comes to us extremely qualified. We're very excited to welcome him to the team. I think he's equally excited to join our wonderful team here at Orange Township. So, and then the other resolutions that you'll see after that are rescinding the resolutions that we established 2 years ago for those temporary adjustments for the two employees that were fulfilling some of the duties of the previous project manager.
Question for Columbia. So does Columbia start before AEP? Did the gas have to move before the
No,
electric?
AEP is pretty close to being done out there. Columbia Gas operates pretty independently of AEP.
Okay.
A lot of the other utilities will have to wait on AEP since
Right.
their lines are on their poles.
So if AEP's already moved, then other people are able to move to?
Yeah, a lot of the other ones are already in motion, which is
Okay,
good.
great. I didn't see anything in the backup. All I saw was the resolution
Oh.
for Columbia.
Is the backup in there?
Okay. Does it look more than just the resolution?
Yeah, it's 7 pages.
Will you pull it up?
Let's
Okay.
see if I can find it. Nothing that says Columbia. Operations.
Because it was in the then and now. I just saw it like our form for the then and now, and then I
Yeah.
just saw our resolution. That's all I knew
I
what it
can
said.
tell you the most recent version just came through within the last few hours,
Oh,
so
okay, yeah.
that we, hopefully that shows up. If not, we can certainly get it to you, but Julie has been working pretty tirelessly on this and helping us through it, so definitely appreciative of her efforts.
Yeah, it's just a resolution. I see the backup. I can put it in the Dropbox real quick.
Okay. And then, so we're excited about Phil and his selection for a project manager role. Will he be able to function in some ways like an owner's rep for our fire station
It's a
project?
possibility. We're going to discuss that a little more in detail once we get him on board. There's a pretty big stack of stuff waiting on him right now, so that'll definitely be something that we discuss and see if that's something that will be, workable.
But he'll be hands-on with that project, correct?
Yes,
Okay,
correct.
great.
Him and I both will.
Yeah. Yeah, we're excited for him to be able to fill that role, and then also thank you to Kim and Dave for stepping up and doing some extra work for us the past couple years and helping out. We appreciate that.
They have been and continue to be rock stars for
Yes,
us, so
they're
just
great.
another great pieces of our team.
Yep. We have good people.
Yeah, it's exciting to see that Phil also has a wealth of experience, so.
The agreement is in your backup, and we'll put it on the screen.
Okay.
Close that and try again.
Does it just magically show up in the individual backup folder?
It,
It takes its time sometimes.
Okay.
yeah,
You
it
know, I don't have
should.
these things.
It should. Did you number it?
It's 3A.
Oh, I got a PDF. Thank you.
It just showed up.
If you reviewed the original version that was sent before Julie refined it a little further, the majority of the changes are surrounding the easement language. Just some confusing words in there that need to be ironed out a little bit.
Just a quick typo at the top of the page, I think it's section 1. Sorry, recital A, it says Union County, Ohio. Should be Delaware County, Ohio.
What page is that?
Page 1, recital A.
Okay. 1.
But I assume they also know where their gas lines are.
Right. Have all the right-of-way things been ironed out? As far as, like, it talks about if we don't enter the right-of-way agreement, like, there could be an issue or whatever.
That's where some of the confusion is lied with Julie is, again, related to that easement. Columbia Gas has assured us in writing that they're not going to ask for a separate easement, that they're going to relocate within the existing right-of-way. But again, their language doesn't always match what their verbal said. So I think it's what Columbia Gas and Julie are still kind of tweaking that specific part of it. But the reimbursement language is currently the most important to Columbia Gas. Again, they're a little unique in their ask, but they're within their legal right to do so.
Any other questions? Questions or comments about the operations report?
I asked all mine, so I'm good.
Okay.
Is Mr. Miller going to continue with his current position?
He is not.
He's not, is he going to resign there?
That's our understanding. He's going to resign from that position. That's why he wanted the full 30 days to wrap up some loose ends, to wrap up some projects he's currently working on, and then give us his full attention.
So 30 days from after we approve this today.
I think the,
Our date is April 16th, I
Yeah.
believe is going to be his tentative start date.
yeah.
I have no further questions.
Okay, I will make a motion to approve Resolution 2577, authorizing the Director of Operations to accept the agreement for pipeline relocation from Columbia Gas of Ohio, Inc. for Bale Canyon Phase 2, and authorize the issuance of a purchase order.
Second?
Roll call. Trustee Knapp?
Yes?
Trustee Faust?
Yes.
Trustee Ringo?
Yes. I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2578, appointment of Philip Miller to full-time position of Project Manager and establishment of compensation.
Second?
Roll call. Trustee Knapp?
Yes?
Trustee Faust?
Yes.
Trustee Ringo?
Yes. I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2579, resolution dissolving Resolution 22261, temporarily increasing Administrative Assistant Kimberly Mahaney's hourly rate of pay.
Second?
Roll call. Trustee Knapp?
Yes?
Trustee Faust?
Yes.
Trustee Ringo?
Yes. I make a motion to approve Resolution 2580, a resolution dissolving Resolution 23280, temporarily increasing Public Works Assistant Manager Dave Gilson's hourly rate of pay.
Second?
Roll call. Trustee Knapp?
Yes?
Trustee Faust?
Yes.
Trustee Ringo?
Yes. Thank you very much, Mr. Bowers.
Thank you, Board.
If I can just say a few words, I just want to have a shout out to thank you, Kim and Dave, for taking on the additional responsibilities. I think this was a lot longer than we were anticipating, but we're excited to fill this role as we have a lot of big capital projects in the near future. And again, just thank you. I always thank the team for going above and beyond, but particularly today, thank you, Kim and Dave.
I think our next agenda item is our fire report. Chief?
Good afternoon, Board. So first thing I have in front of you today is excited to announce that we have finished our promotion process to replace Lieutenant Dave Martin, who retired in January. And we have selected Chris McKenzie, who's been a firefighter with us for 21 years, to be our next lieutenant, effective actually today. So we're excited to see him. He's been a true asset to the department, comes a very strong EMS background, and we're excited to have him step up in a new role in the department. The next thing on the agenda is for a recognition policy, kind of the same aspect that Township has, is for us to be able to recognize individuals. We're looking at doing different for firefighter of the year, paramedic of the year. We're starting to build the program now to hopefully have it. The first actual occurrence would be in early 26, where we'd announce different winners, and to have also items for when people have major milestones in their career, and also when people do retire or leave after working with us for so long, to be able to give them some type of plaque or something to thank them for their service to the township. So, and the final thing on the agenda is to dispose of we have a 3 triple basin stainless steel sink that was in our SCBA room. It's been there since 2004. It's not utilized, and we're trying to make room to actually put a workbench in there to work on our SCBA's. Mr. Pettis has been in charge of that, so he asked if we could get rid of it. We took it out of there. We have a sink in a room right across that we can use for washing our face pieces, but, so that did not need to be used anymore. So, and that's it.
Congratulations to Chris McKenzie on his promotion. Will he have to change units or stations or any of that kind of stuff, or?
Not at this time. Normally we do, we're trying to see how some things roll out and just make decisions off of that, so.
Okay.
And we had discussed, Chief, a few months ago, having a possible Citizens Award program. It could be pretty informal. Are you still looking into that?
That's kind of also built into this, being able to do that, so yes.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be anything fancy, you know?
No, yeah, we've already looked into a couple things that, we'd like to do something that's gonna be consistent instead of just doing something now, and then something happens down the road here, and we do something different, so, we've been looking at a couple things, we have a couple ideas, and, so that way we can, call those individuals in and, do that, and make something where, from this point on, that would be kind of the thing that we would do, so.
Does this allow you to pay for, like, you know, we have cake and stuff at promotions and that kind of thing, or is that a separate?
Yeah, I guess, I guess it would.
Okay.
We could, I mean, up until now, I've been paying for it, so
Right.
it could be something where now, I guess I didn't even think about cake, but
Okay.
everybody likes cake too, so.
Right, no, I just wondered, because my understanding is you were paying for it out of, like, your family's money, so,
Yeah,
like, when there's treats, like, I think it'd be okay for us to pay for a cake.
Yeah, I mean,
rather than
this
Chief
is
McNeil's
allows
family
for
to be paying for cake.
expenses for recognition.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and I talked to Chief about, like, you know, citizens, like the one guy that saved the life of the soccer player a few months
Okay.
ago, you know, because we haven't, and it could be multiple people, and then probably recommended by, you know,
By
some-
the
yeah, fire
firefighters.
department, yeah, but, I don't think we've had one of those since, probably around 2005 or 6, when that little girl, Donna, were you there when that little girl got pulled out of the pool and this guy saved her life?
Forgot
and-
about that, yeah.
That was the only time we've ever done that, and he started CPR and had her,
Wow.
brought her back, you know, she's like 4. So, yeah, it was the last time, and it was really special, so
Yeah.
I thought we should start something like that.
Yeah,
Good way to
Good
interact
idea.
with the community.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be that fancy, I mean, you just, you know, if they want to come, you know, the person that got saved and the person that did the saving, but maybe they, you know, the person that got saved might not want to come, who knows, but you could at least just give them some public recognition that, you know, good job and a plaque. It could be simple, but I think we should recognize those kind of like everyday heroes. Thanks.
Any other questions or comments on the fire report? I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2581, promotion of firefighter Christopher McKenzie to lieutenant.
Second?
Roll call, trustee Knapp?
Yes?
Trustee Fouls?
yes,
Trustee Ringel?
Yes, congratulations, Chris. Make a motion to approve Resolution 2582, adoption of Fire Department Outstanding Employee Performance Recognition Program.
second,
Roll call, trustee, excuse me, trustee Knapp?
Yes?
Trustee Fouls?
yes,
Trustee Ringel?
Yes. I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2583, finding certain personal property not needed for public use, obsolete, or unfit for the use for which it was acquired to have no value, and ordering it to be auctioned on GovDeals, Inc., be discarded or salvaged.
Second?
Roll call, trustee Knapp?
Yes?
Trustee Fouls?
yes.
Trustee Ringel?
Yes.
And Chief, thank you for bringing that program together for the employees. I think that will really help with, it will boost everyone's morale, so I appreciate that too.
Yep. Thank you, Board.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chief.
I think our next agenda item is our fiscal office report.
Good afternoon, Board. We have 2 items on the agenda this afternoon. The first one is the request of a liquor license, 8703 Owenfield Drive. This is a new permit, and I'm going to actually ask Administrator Bonnie to speak on behalf of this issue.
Yes, thank you. So in the case the board is interested in scheduling a hearing for this, we did look into how this works procedurally. So this particular application, the use is a tobacco, beer, and wine shop store. They have had building and fire code issues since as they've been trying to get their business ready. So understanding the code violations, we would have a strong argument to have a hearing. So the hearing would be held through the Division of Liquor Control. The hearing would be set up as legal calls it, an informal trial. So it will not be here, it will be held virtually, and typically the people that are in the room is our legal counsel, the applicant, and then Division of Liquor Control. Because it's held virtually, there will be a link that we can send out to the public to watch, and including us here as well. So how it's structured, it's not a public there's no public comment with the meeting. You can watch it, it is in the public view, but public comment will not be allowed at the meeting. So if the board was looking to seek public feedback, my recommendation would be we can send a courtesy letter out to the surrounding neighborhoods to, one, inform them of when the hearing is, how to tune in, and if they wanted to submit public feedback, I'd probably have it go directly to me. And then we can put together all the feedback and have legal prepare it with our argument. That's an option. That is something we do not have to do, but if we wanted to, that's what I would recommend. And then as far as legal representation, so the Ohio statute, or Ohio Revised Code says the prosecutor's office is actually required to be our representation here. So we initially, we were working with outside counsel on this at first. The prosecutor's office has asked for outside counsel to continue working on this as the lead counsel, but the prosecutor's office will be available at the hearing to satisfy the ORC requirements. So it'll be like a joint effort between the prosecutor's office and outside counsel.
And this business is located in the strip that's in front of like Home Depot, it's next to Subway, near
Yes,
Chipotle.
it's where the GameStop used to be.
Mhm.
And is it open currently, or was it ever open? Because I
This
saw
tobacco
that
store?
stop, huh?
The tobacco store?
Yeah,
It should not be open. There is a stop work order.
but was it open for some time?
No.
It was never open, because I saw the picture of the stop work order, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So they're trying to open now, but they're also asking for a liquor license.
Yes, and I'm assuming, given the name of their shop, they need that before they would open.
Oh wait, what's the name of the shop?
Tobacco plus,
beer and wine.
yeah, beer and wine.
So they could be selling that high potency hemp or whatever they're apparently, that we all love, okay.
Personally, I'm concerned that this applicant is asking for a liquor license when they have multiple outstanding public violations for, a work order, I think, through the county building department. I believe they also were in violation of our temporary signage.
Yes, there
Code.
are some zoning code violations as well.
And they haven't filed with the fire department either, correct?
Yeah, so in theory, it's my understanding, since they haven't pulled their permitting or inspection request through the fire department, they are in violation because they're not complying with that, so.
So I think there are a lot of outstanding questions, especially around, permitting and why, they should be in good form for receiving a liquor license at their current state, that that requesting a public hearing might be able to, might be the board's only opportunity to get those answers.
And so they do currently, they're requesting a liquor license, right? They do not have one
Yes.
currently?
Correct, yes.
Right, okay. And so with the public hearing, is it a trustee hearing, or it's just the liquor commission? They're holding the meeting and we can just watch?
Yes, yeah. My understanding, could be in one of the legals in office, and we'll be potentially meeting via Zoom, and then we can live stream it. It's up to the Division of Liquor Control how they want to handle it. Delaware County doesn't get a lot of these, so we're all kind of learning together as far as the process goes.
But it would just be there, the Division of Liquor Control's hearing,
Yes.
and then all of us will be considered just observers, every single person?
It's my understanding that none of the trustees would not be in the room. I think what they'll do is either have Donna or myself be the representative for the township, and then everybody else can tune online.
So we can tune in just like the rest of the residents can.
Yeah, so they'll be having that, but we'll submit, maybe, I wonder if we could try to find one and send it to the trustees so we could kind of watch one, if there's one available.
Yeah, I mean, I think
You
these
know,
happen.
Yeah, just to,
yeah. Yeah, so I guess.
Could find one, yeah. I just wanted to figure out the structure, so they'll set that hearing, and then we can submit comments in advance to the liquor control?
No, they will not. Our legal has said is that if we wanted to get public feedback, have them send it directly to us, and then we will compile that with our legal counsel to present at the hearing. They will not accept public comment directly.
So our.
Yeah, that's what I
legal
meant,
counsel-
yeah, so we're gonna, but we can submit the public comment that's combined.
To us.
To us.
I would
Yeah.
just say to me, and then I can help.
So we can submit that, so they'll read that or look through it or something?
I think
or-
it'll be part of my understanding it would be part of our argument at the hearing.
Okay, so you would compile that from the trustees and residents and anyone
I
else?
can, yeah,
other
it's, I
concerns?
mean, this is optional, so it's really up to you guys how you want me to proceed with it.
Yeah, it would be nice to be able to watch one to see like what kind of criteria they want. Like if someone just says, well, I just don't want a smoke shop, that doesn't seem like that would be.
Very effective.
No, well, yeah, it doesn't seem like you could shut it down because, I mean, that's near my neighborhood. I mean,
Yeah.
right near my neighborhood, but I don't think we could just say, well, we don't want.
Do you
know,
want
any
me
of
to
those
send a
things.
letter out, or I
To-
guess?
to who?
Do you want me to
To your
just?
neighborhood.
Well,
Or-
I can do it to the zoning legal limits, the
Yeah,
200
I just want,
feet,
I'm
or-
just, we had to figure out what, it's kind of like when people come in here and talk about traffic during zoning hearing, that we can't really consider that. So I would want to know like what we have, what residents have control over, what they're looking for, what the concerns are. Maybe we can look into that and then send a letter, because if people want to submit a bunch of comments that we all think are relevant, but they're not actually relevant to getting a license, because we've never done this, so maybe we could investigate that a little bit more. Otherwise, everyone would be addressing different issues that might not even be applicable.
And
We
I
don't-
think legal would help kind of filter that, as
Yeah, but you
well.
wouldn't want people to waste their time. You'd want to say, hey, these are the criteria that, you know, some kind of thing saying this, they're having a hearing. If you're concerned, these are the areas you could express concerns about. I don't know what they are, but, you know, why bother to have someone get all upset? Like, what if I wrote in and said, why, I just don't want this high potency
Yeah, I get it.
THC stuff near me? Well, that might not be something they consider, and then I get myself all riled up, and it's nothing that we have control over. So we can look into that, but I think we should send a letter out
So
for sure.
I guess
if we
just to
can.
understand, I mean, is it the direct neighborhood? I mean,
Are
this
Are
is
there
in the middle of a
any
commercial.
homes, yeah, are there
The
any homes
businesses
in
too,
that
probably.
200
There are
feet?
multifamily development
yeah.
that was
At
built in
Cheswick.
the Home Depot parking lot.
Right.
Yeah,
former
it's
Home
close to
Depot parking
Cheswick
lot.
Village.
Right.
Yeah, and maybe
Is
the
that
business-
within the legal limit, though?
What's that?
Probably not.
Yeah.
But, I mean, in
Oh,
terms of the 200-foot zoning requirement, but since this doesn't have to follow that, we could choose any radius that we wanted.
Yeah, maybe
We
the
could
residents
send
in the area, maybe our
yeah, to those
neighborhood or
HOAs
some
too.
people, and then maybe even to the businesses, because, I mean, a smoke shop, you know, could, especially with liquor and smoke, it's everything all at once, but if they're not gonna conduct themselves professionally, it could really be a problem for other businesses too.
Personally, the track record of multiple potential, permitting violations before they've even opened their doors does not comfort me on their business practices.
No, not at all, but then they might say at the hearing, well, we're gonna resolve those, and then, that's it, but it's worth a shot.
And the people that are doing the construction are often different parties than the people that are running the business too, so that's.
Yeah, so if I do a 300-foot buffer, it will hit the Cheswick Village, but it does not, that's the only residential that we would notify.
Could we notify via our HOA listserv, just the ones that are behind Home Depot and that, more like Lisa's neighborhood there? Just like, not a letter, but like if we have that HOA contact, send that out.
Yeah, we don't really have an HOA
Yeah.
though.
Oh,
but
that's right.
We have a civic association, but I don't really know
Yeah, I
who's
mean,
doing that.
I can do the zoning buffer. We can stay consistent with how we notify zoning applications, and then we can do something on Facebook
Yeah,
and
let's
our
just do that.
listserv and just
Yeah, and I can post it on our neighborhood
see how
Facebook
that
site too.
goes.
And maybe to the
Until
businesses too, like Home Depot.
And I won't do anything until I know when the hearing
Chipotle.
is and what we can actually provide
Yes, so
comment
it would be
to.
good to put in that information, what you can speak on, or what they would.
Yeah.
Yeah, which we don't even know now,
Right.
what they could be shut down for, yeah.
And we're
yeah.
not familiar with the timeline on any of this, so I don't,
Yeah, I have some research,
so.
yeah.
But at this
So
point,
we do want a
do-
hearing, right?
Yeah, so
Okay.
the resolution in front of you is to authorize Ms. Batten to proceed. You got something else, right?
Oh, yes. And if you would choose not to move forward with the hearing, it would just be a consensus to not have a hearing with regards to the liquor license permit. Second item for fiscal is approving the 2025 permanent appropriations for the Veterans Memorial Grant Fund. I'm asking for $5,000 in account 4901 590 420 1103 operating supplies, and $5,000 to account 4901 590 360 0000 contracted services for a total of $10,000. And that's all I have for fiscal.
Thank you very much, Fiscal Officer. So I think we have consensus probably for a hearing.
To hold hearing.
Yeah, okay. So I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve Resolution 2584, resolution requesting the fiscal officer to schedule a hearing regarding a liquor license application for 8703 Owenfield Inc., 8703 Owenfield Drive.
Second?
Roll call, trustee Net,
Yes?
trustee Faust,
Yes.
trustee Ringo.
Yes. Make a motion to approve Resolution 2585, revising and/or increasing permanent appropriations established in Resolution 24340.
Second?
Roll call, trustee Net,
Yes?
trustee Faust,
Yes.
trustee Ringo.
Yes. Thank you,
Thank you,
Fiscal
Board.
Officer Bennett. Our next agenda item is our administrative report. Do we have any administrative report
I
items?
do not.
Okay, then we have our presentation by Trey Bell.
But like, we don't need that on there.
I brought 5 copies. I'm not sure who would like to have them, but I'm happy to pass
I'll
them
take a
around.
copy.
There too, yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks. Donna, do you want one? Okay, I can. Thanks.
Thank you, though.
And then I think I'll give one to Val. Oh, thanks.
See the same, or just the presentation?
I'll just, whatever he wants to talk about, yeah. I think we'll go through this first.
All right, good afternoon, Board. Erin Schmerschneider with Traybell Energy. Thanks so much for having me here today. I wanted to talk about state of what's going on in the energy markets and as that pertains to your electric and natural gas aggregation renewal programs to keep them active with the community. I don't know who's driving here.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks. So we'll start with, I think, the good impactful news here for the 2024 program year, $2.7 million in savings for your residents, which turns out to be just shy of $350 average per participant. So that's, taking all residential and small business who are participating, just putting an average against that. So I think that's exceptional results. I think that's not going to sustain moving forward. But I think fantastic to be able to see this. I know the year prior was very strong savings as well. Not to say that there won't be savings, that's obviously the goal of these programs, to have those in place. But just with the way things are going in the market, we're gonna see those dwindle down a little bit. So instead of a windfall of, $350 a year, you're looking at something more of $100 to $150 over the next year or so here. But we'll get to that in a little bit. So I wanted to talk about some contributing factors to projected increased prices for both electricity and natural gas. If you're looking at electricity first, and that's going to be a little bit more complex, there's a few more moving parts. I think first and foremost is the impact on the energy commodity driven by projected load growth throughout the state, particularly in central Ohio. What you're looking at on the left-hand side is a report that PJM, the grid operator for Ohio and 12 other states, they put out a report every year that says, here's what we thought last year's load growth was going to be, and at the start of the year, here's what we think this year's load growth is going to be. So 24, you're looking at the blue line was what was projected for 2023. And then when you take a look at 2024, that's the green line, say, no, actually, we think there's going to be far more growth than we anticipated the year before. And that brings you out, several decades. The one on the right is showing 2025. So now that blue line is for 24, the green line's for 25. The blue line is what was showing for the year prior. So you see just this sharp, sharp increase in terms of projected load growth throughout this part of the country.
I'm sorry, what did you say load growth is?
Oh, so the amount of electricity that is going to come onto the grid that's not currently on the grid.
Okay.
So
because
additional,
of the
additional
growth of-
power draw.
Okay, that will be needed to,
That will be
to power
exactly.
the businesses that are, say, in the process of being constructed.
That's correct.
In what area?
So this is specific to AEP Ohio.
Okay, just so all of AEP Ohio, wherever they're located?
That's
Okay.
correct.
And that
Yes, so that's
includes like,
primarily central Ohio and up a little bit into the
so that includes data centers and those kind of things?
Exactly, so that's
Okay.
exactly what you're saying, right?
Okay.
So Intel, I mean, they just announced a couple of days ago that they're gonna be delayed, you know, until 2030 at this point, but that's still reflective of Google, Facebook, Amazon, you know, these huge, they're not even data centers, these data warehouses that are looking to be built to support AI growth. You know, AI takes 9 times the computing power as a typical Google search would. So, you know, that's not gonna last forever. Computers used to take up the size of a room, and now we all have one in our pocket. So, you know, it will get more efficient and it will get better, but for, you know, the short term here, this is showing between now and the end of the decade, that's kind of the situation we're in.
Can I just
Coupled-
reiterate what you're saying, just to make sure that I'm understanding?
Yeah.
So the blue line was what in early '24, we thought the load was going to be.
Correct.
And the green line is what now in early '25, we think the load is going to be.
That's correct.
Because we know that there's additional things that are being built. Okay, thanks.
Yep.
What did you say, the
absolutely.
WN peak?
Yeah,
What does
what's
that
that?
mean?
That's a
orange.
winter peak, is what that is.
So is that actual?
Yes, so that's
It-
actual
since it's
from
previous
that,
years.
from the, exactly. And then the gray line is the peak, so just the peak throughout the year.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
So this shows the demand side of it, right? A perfect storm has kind of brewed, where then we have the supply side that has dwindled. So this type of growth is beyond what would be capable if we had demand stay flat, but it hasn't. We've seen a lot of power plant retirements. So, you know, with the prior administration, a lot of coal retirements, even some natural gas retirements that are being retired early. And those have been replaced by and large with renewable assets, which isn't inherently bad if you're talking about environmental impact, but if you're talking about steady electricity needs, that's not the best thing to replace that with. Fossil fuel generation is dispatchable. So if you need more to ramp up when you have some type of a weather event or some very large peak, you know, you can call on those generators to say, hey, we need you to show up and make more power. But you can't say, turn on the sun more or turn on the wind more, it just doesn't work that way. So we're getting to this perfect storm of this supply-demand mismatch of not having enough generation to sustain what we see forthcoming. All of that means higher commodity power prices into the future.
Commodity is the utility.
Is the actual, it's the actual energy. So when you look at your electricity cost, it's the actual energy, that's the commodity. Then you have a secondary cost called capacity. We'll get into that in just a minute. That cost exists to incentivize these power producers to make enough power that we need, right? And then there's losses, which is just how much power is lost between the point where it's generated and delivered. There's renewable portfolio standard, which is the renewable requirement for the state, which is about 8% of the overall electric cost.
So 8% of our electricity has to come from renewable energy? Okay.
Yep.
And how, what is the lost generation for electric from, say, generation to site use?
Yeah, so it's about 1.5%.
Okay.
And that's averaged across the utility footprint. It varies utility by utility.
Okay, so that's not specific to electricity versus gas, that's all of them together?
So that would be specific to electricity. Losses are specific to electricity.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
What did you say PJM stands for?
That's Pennsylvania, Jersey, Maryland is what the initials stand for, but that's our grid operator. So that covers Ohio and 12 other states. It's the largest electric grid in the country. And so they're like the air traffic controller of the electric grid, right? To say, okay, this area needs more power, so this generator's gotta make more power. Or if our grid doesn't have enough, we'll pull in imports from surrounding grids to try to, make up for that. Or if we're generating too much, we'll sell it to export. But they're basically the ones who control all of that to make sure the power goes to where it needs to go. Thank you. So this is capacity, is what I was talking about, the second largest component within the electric cost. This is also determined by PJM, by the grid operator, and it's determined through an auction process where all of the power plant generators participate in the auction, and they say, okay, here's how much we would need to be paid to deliver X amount of power to make sure that we can cover the load that's needed for next year. It shows the historic, this highest point being this last auction, that cleared 9 times higher than the year prior, and the highest that it's ever cleared in the history of PJM holding these capacity auctions. Again, that just reflects this supply-demand mismatch, right? So there's less power plants having to make up for more power needed, and they're saying, okay, we'll give you the guarantee, but it's gonna cost a lot more for us to be able to do that. So what this means in terms of electricity prices is that they're going up 20%, and that takes effect June 1st. That does not matter if you're with the utility or in the aggregation program, or if you have, secured your own third-party supply. That happens unbiased to everybody. It's going up 20% as a result of this capacity auction. We used to know 3 years in advance what this capacity price would be due to all of the issues I had just mentioned. And then the Federal Energy Regulatory Committee getting involved, that's been very, very delayed. So now we only know June. We don't know the next year. We won't know that until July when the next auction happens. So we're trying to work with the information we have, knowing prices are going to go up, and knowing they're not just going to go up in the short term here, right? With all of this, I don't think it's going to be some Armageddon forever. Things will level out. Markets and human innovation, kind of figure things out as they should. But I think it's going to be a pretty rocky road for the next 3 to 5 years. In that, we're kind of shifting the strategy from, hey, here's going to be a savings over your last contract or savings from the last contract to, we need to make sure it's a cost avoidance strategy in the future, right? So you're protected from the increased costs that are going to come for the next 3 to 5 years.
Are other states having the same issue?
Yeah, every state within PJM is having this exact same issue with a 20% increase. And then other grids throughout the country, like California, has its own host of issues. Their power prices are up. Texas has their own issues. Their power prices are up. So it's not just something that we're seeing here in PJM. We're seeing increases across the nation.
What about like southern states?
Yeah, it's SPP would be the grid down there. Yep, they're having some of their issues as well.
Okay.
So then this is just more on capacity. This shows you, the current year is on the left, and the capacity planning year is June 1 to May 31 of the next year. So right now it makes up about 4% of your bill. Beginning June 1st, that capacity cost will make up 20% of your bill. Thank you. And then this gives you, and I apologize, the key there is very small, but this gives you, again, just showing the past couple of years, all of the components that go into the electric supply price. The blue, the largest blue section being the actual energy itself, the commodity. Yellow being capacity. Now I have to look on my own because I can't even see that up there. The band of blue above the yellow is RPS, what we had just talked about, that renewable portfolio standard. And then the very top strip there is going to be those losses we talked about, and then some ancillary kind of balancing costs are included. But really what this is intended to show is that these components will go up, between now and the end of the decade. Thank you.
So with the yellow band increasing, does that mean that the understanding is they will be increasing capacity to produce additional energy?
Yeah, so they're paying, the grid operator is paying energy producers more money to guarantee that they will make enough power when it's needed. It's also a signal to say, build more power plants, because if you do, now you get paid this extra money. But a power plant doesn't get built overnight. Even with the new administration, who is very in favor of domestic production, very in favor of cutting red tape, that still is 18-month to 3-year process, right? So good, it will happen more quickly, but it's not going to happen tomorrow.
Is that 18-month to 3 is just for traditional energy, or is not?
Yeah, so that would be like
not nuclear or any of that kind of stuff?
Yeah, it would be like a natural gas power plant, would be 18 months to 3 years.
To build it and have it ready to go?
Yep.
Are there any planned right now?
Yes, so there is a huge queue within the grid operator's purview, right? So to get a power plant built, you have to say, I have the plan, I have the funding, this is a shovel-ready project, I have done all my safety. Here, grid operator, will you please approve my power plant?
And
they'll-
then it's 18 to 36 months
Yes,
from there, based on.
if they approve it, right? And they could go back and say, well, no, the grid can't really sustain it, so you have to do all of these other upgrades so your project can get in, then you can build your power plant. So everything goes according to plan, 18 months. That queue is backlogged 4 years, 5 years. PJM just put in a fast track program to more quickly approve 50 shovel-ready projects. You had to submit an application, no limit to the amount of applications people could submit. That review period will begin next week on the 11th, and they're hoping to have that review done by the end of Q2. So that'll
And they will-
help get some of these through this queue.
And they'll award 50
Yeah.
50 plans from that.
But still, that's 50 and, out of thousands, and
Right.
that doesn't still cover the amount of growth that we're expected to see.
Put that in comparison, I don't know if you know the statistics off the top of your head, but, maybe a heavy manufacturer, they'd use 25 megawatts, and we're talking about with data centers that they're more like 100 megawatts.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the size of the manufacturer, right? If you're very efficient, you could do a 5 to 10 megawatt facility. If you're a, data center, I would say more along the lines of 20 to 50.
Okay.
And then, yeah.
But it's an order of magnitude, yeah, so.
So what percentage of the increase is due to these various data centers being located here?
Yeah, so, I mean, I would say it's, 60% of that is directly related to those facilities.
16?
60.
60, okay.
And then you
Wow.
have all of the other surrounding businesses and residential and all that development that comes along with it, right? Also, because of the prior administration, was not favorable on natural gas, a lot of the residential development that has been built is electric heat.
Really?
So there's a lot more draw from
Wow.
electricity. Now, again, that might change, for building mandates moving forward, but the stuff that has been built to this point,
Even in the northern part of the country, I know the southern part, they can use a heat pump, but when you get under 32 degrees,
it's, yeah.
yeah.
Yep.
So what do they do are they doing heat pumps up here, like in Ohio and Minnesota?
I don't know that, not Minnesota, it's
Right.
not as popular here.
Right.
Yeah, so it's mostly just like a
Just in the
electric.
south.
Make a
yeah.
residential, like, my dad has one, actually.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's great
They're
as long as it doesn't
expensive.
get too cold.
And they're
Right.
very expensive,
And also expensive, yes.
very expensive.
And with the rebates going away from the Inflation Reduction Act, those who were interested maybe won't do it now because it might not make sense.
Yeah.
And my understanding is gas is more efficient on site, that it's from generation to site than electric,
Correct.
because you lose more electricity as the line, get
As
from.
you're delivering it.
Right,
Yep,
through the lines.
exactly.
Hopefully you're not losing natural gas.
No, we got to stay in this house.
Sometimes.
To say.
Yep. But yeah, I mean, the bulk of it is being driven by the facilities themselves, but then, it's everything that surrounds that.
Yeah, that's a real shame, because, you give them all these tax breaks, and then you bring them in, and then the residents, it helps increase their rates for
Yeah.
utilities.
And that's something that is being talked about right now with the Public Utility Commission and up towards FERC too, to say, okay, if you're bringing this massive amount of load to the grid, should you be responsible for bringing your own generation?
Yes.
And if you are, though, who's regulating that, right? So that's the other, and this is all very, complex and things that just don't get figured out overnight. You guys know how it is. You have a hearing and then you make a decision, and then people think opposite ways, and then it goes on for a longer time than, most of the general public would think that it would when you get into that level of detail. So,
Yeah, it just feels like collateral damage, to residents.
yep. Yeah, but unfortunately, no matter what happens in the future, June 1 going up 20%. Every June following that, like I said, the capacity cost changes. Now, we don't think we're gonna see as high as we did this past go-around, but we do think those prices are gonna remain elevated for 3 years at least.
And is that in theory, is my whole bill going up 20%, or just the whole bill?
The whole bill is going up 20%.
Right, every year
It's definitely June 1st.
for this, but we
For
don't.
this year.
We don't know next year, but it will
No.
go up for 3 years.
Yeah, we won't know because that auction hasn't happened yet. But just looking at, the fundamentals of economics here, it's projected that they will continue to go up. Now, I don't know it's gonna go up 20% every year. This is a very large jump.
That's a
this
lot of
year.
money.
Yep. So wanted to kind of go through, where we transacted at your prior two agreements. So this is not your current contract, this is the contract before that. This was back in 2021 that it was contracted. And the prices at the top are wholesale, just energy only prices, so it's not quite comparable to your fully fixed price at the bottom. It was at 4,770. As you can see, what was happening in the market, it was very flat. And those various lines represent different calendar years. The market trades, you could trade a month, you could trade a year at a time, you could trade seasons at a time. But each of those represents a different year. When you contracted, all those years were very close in price together, and that's what we like to see, right? Lovely to see a flat line and not volatility, but really you want to see those years as close together as possible. So that was transacted. It took you all the way through that wild volatility that happened after the invasion of Ukraine, when you see everything spike way, way up. Your contract was not interrupted, and then it came off in December of 23 when we renewed your contract. Go to the next one, please. Thank you. Then your subsequent contract was renewed in September. And again, it took you through, definitely, we didn't see as much volatility as we did prior, but it still took you through this good amount of volatility that we've seen over the past 18 months here. And again, the contract has remained uninterrupted.
Just so I'm understanding, so these are the prices that if we weren't locked in, this is the volatility that we
You
would
would
have
have
seen?
been fully exposed to all of that.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Or had you contracted at a poor
At a
time,
different
you
time.
would have had to take that price.
Okay,
Yep.
thanks.
So this is what, we do. This is why you have entrusted us, because you don't need to be experts. I can talk as much as you want about the technical parts of energy, happy to. But you don't have to be burdened with that. We look for all of this, right? So how can we shield you, because we know that volatility is gonna happen? How can we help shield you against that? If you look all the way to the right, that's where we are today. And you can see again, those lines are starting to converge, so those prices are becoming closer together. And that's again what we wanna look for. So we're looking to transact now in this opportune time. That will carry you through the next 3 years that we think the prices are going to go up. I'm sure there's gonna be volatility. We see, global challenges that, maybe with Ukraine that gets resolved, but we still have other kind of conflicts that are arising around the rest of the world. That causes its own disruptions with electricity, plus what we're seeing here, locally. So we would like to grab a price that would block you through all of that.
So we would lock in again here for the next 3 years?
3 years, that's correct.
And how do I read the graph? So
Yep.
if that says the current agreement is .06595, where on the graph is that?
Yeah.
Because I see $50 or $50 on the
It's-
side.
So
Sorry.
that was at this point in time. Those prices there are just wholesale energy. So this includes capacity losses, a retail bundling, means that, you have to kind of shape it and make the load correctly. So, but this just represents if you were trading on the wholesale market, just energy. This is the final price after everything else was built into that.
But it says like calendar, is that calendar 2028? I'm confused, because it's,
red lines. Yep,
but-
so exactly, those are calendar strips. So it's calendar 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28.
What's a calendar strip?
So we'll be trading the year, January 1 through December 31 of 2028.
But we trade that now?
Yeah, so these
Oh,
are trading the
okay.
futures market, yeah, exactly.
so you're saying it's January 25, and that's what we're trading for those years? Oh, yeah, I was confused
Yeah.
about
I don't know.
that, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so if we're looking to buy your contract now for 3 years, we would buy half of 25, 26, 27, and half of 28. And these are what those prices are in this point in time. It's just like gold or cotton or corn or anything. Price of it changes all the time, every single day. So we try to look at when we find a stable price that's an attractive price and get that. So we know, okay, that's set for the next, 3 years.
Okay.
Or year, whatever the case might be.
I just get confused because the units don't match.
Sure.
Yeah, there's like 2 different years
Yeah, I don't
in
know.
one. I was
Right,
like,
yeah.
what in the world?
Okay.
Yeah, but the takeaway here really is to show the amount of volatility.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
to show that each year trades at a different price. And when we get those years close together, that's a good market indicator to say, okay, things are at an advantageous point to try to buy right now.
I'm sorry.
if we need, if we need to duck and
Tornado alarm. Right? Sounds like a train.
Lots of wind outside, okay?
Oh, you can go to the next slide, please. So for electric, you know, what's next? As I said, rates are going up 20% beginning June 1st. The AEP price to compare is likely to be above 10 cents.
Instead of the point oh, like those 6, we were like 6, 7 cents last time.
Right now, the utility price is 7.6.
Okay.
So the utility price is going to go up above 10,
Is going to go up what, sorry?
above 10 cents. So
Above
the
10,
price, the
okay.
price to compare for AEP is gonna go above 10 cents.
And we did lock it in at 6.7.
Thank you.
What we're looking to do for electricity, as I said, is to lock the first year in, so it would have capacity, because we know the capacity value, and it would fix energy as well. Then for the subsequent 2 years, we would fix the energy price, and then adjust it once capacity becomes known. The thinking there is, let's not wait around for capacity to become known, because it is what it is, we can't do anything about it, and miss out on an attractive buying opportunity in the meantime. So we'd like to buy the energy for 3 years, and then, as I said, adjust capacity each year as it becomes known. Residents would get an opportunity to opt out each year, because that price is going to change depending on what capacity is, but your energy price will be locked for those 3 years.
Does that mean if it goes down that we can't renegotiate?
We could absolutely do that.
We can renegotiate?
Yeah.
So that will be in the contract?
It is, yeah.
is in
Yeah,
there?
that's what we worked with our council on, and, yeah, I think both the gas and electric.
Yep.
We would be able to amend the contract at any time if there's a better rate that comes
But
out.
both parties would have to agree, correct? I mean, so if it was at .092, and for some reason rates dropped substantially due to some, I don't know what, like down to like .07, 7 cents, the supplier would need to agree to drop it, correct?
So yes, that is correct, but we've done that with several other communities, that we've done what was called a blend and extend. So essentially,
Oh,
you
yeah.
take the current market price, your current contract price, blend those two things together, so you lower your contract immediately. But
Okay.
yeah, suppliers, we don't work with suppliers who aren't willing to do that.
Okay, because it would require both of us to agree, and,
Okay.
I mean, what is the advantage to them to doing that then? Because they'll be losing money.
Well, it's a win-win, really, right? So they're extending the duration of your contract
Oh,
at
yeah.
that lower price point.
Yeah, I
And
remember
there are
that
some
from
market
last year.
opportunities where they would have the opportunity to sell that power back into the grid at, a benefit to them.
So it would extend the contract more than the 3 years that we're discussing right now.
And we could switch suppliers if they weren't willing to.
Absolutely.
To work with us.
But only
So
when the contract is done.
this is my understanding, this is a contract with, it's a 3-year contract with you guys,
Mm-hmm.
and then the supplier can be subject to change. Is that,
So the way that we have it structured right now, it would be Archer would be the supplier for the 3 years.
for 3 years?
Yes.
I don't think
they-
that could
they
change.
They
Okay.
have done this before. They have adjusted the contract for us with several other communities. They have done that with Berlin, with Genoa, I'm trying to think, Madison, that's in Franklin
Okay.
County.
I actually think we've done it before.
We did do it, and they
I
had
don't
that
think when
blend
you
and
were- I was
extend.
around, but I think previously.
Yeah, we did, but there's really no obligation for them to do anything at all. I mean, they can, but then, so if we want to, I recall if we want to negotiate for 1 or 2 more years, we have to add 2 more years on. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
From the 1 year, so we did.
I
It's
think
not-
they're getting the advantage of having that additional locked-in certainty of margin.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to predict though, so many years in advance, but I just want to make it clear that we'd be, stuck in the contract mostly.
To the figures on this slide, the .092, that's including capacity, but what we're looking at for 2026, June of 2026 forward, so that .07 would just be,
It would
The
not
energy?
include capacity. It would be everything except capacity, so
Okay.
energy, RPS losses, all that. And capacity would be adjusted.
Would be on top of that
Yep.
.07.
Yep. And that gives us flexibility too. There's some suppliers who'll say, we don't know what capacity is. We'll fix it for you. We'll make the guess. We're gonna charge you a gross premium to do that. And if we're wrong, we're still gonna try to tear up your contract so we can fix it. we just don't think that's the right thing to do. Why would you pay a premium for something that's unknown? You might as well just pay what the actual value of it is, and as it becomes known, you pay the actual value for it then. Because as I said, there's nothing you can do to change that. It is what it is, you know. Unfortunately, you and every other person who resides within that utility footprint is gonna be subject to that cost.
Can you remind me what capacity is again?
Yeah.
Or the capacity,
Yep, so it's the second largest component of your electric supply cost, and that cost exists to incentivize power producers to make enough power during peak times, right? So you think about the middle of the summer, everybody has their air conditioning on, that type, just to make sure we don't have
Okay.
brownouts and blackouts.
and do we always have that? We always do, no matter what, even if you're on a regular plan. It's always been built into it.
That's correct, it's
Okay.
built into the utility price, and then when you switch to aggregation or to your, you know, own supply contract, it's part of the electric supply rate that moves with that.
Okay,
But
that's
you,
all
yeah,
right.
it has always existed. It's pretty unique to this grid, to PJM. You know, it doesn't exist in Texas, but it exists in all the 13 states of this
But
grid.
you don't see it within the rates because it's built in. Okay, I gotcha, okay.
With the AEP Ohio price to compare, that was on the last slide, is that inclusive of energy and capacity?
That would be inclusive of energy capacity. Yep, that's correct. Trustee Knapp, to your concern, it is dictated in the addendum that would say that from time to time, if the Board of Trustees would like to negotiate a lower price, that we could do so. So it is called out in there.
Yeah,
Just,
Yeah.
you know, to give you more concern. It's actually contractually spelled out versus
Yeah.
just saying subject to.
yeah, I know we've done it before, but it's kind of like if you were leasing a car and you're almost you have a year away and you want to renegotiate your overage for each mile, and, there's not a lot of incentive necessarily for the person leasing you the car to change your rate, I guess, unless you bought a new rate, maybe bought a new car or something. But I remember last time we did do that, but, I mean, both parties have to agree as well. We can't just say, well, we like to lock in at the new rate. Both parties have to agree.
And do you let us know when, hey, rates are down, you should relock?
Absolutely.
So it's not like we have to be on top of the market or anything, you guys are always
I think
advocating
so,
for
We
it.
do like periodic check-ins too,
Okay.
so.
Another note I want to make of the way the contract language is structured, this is for electric, right? That if you were to say, yes, the board approves, we're going to do a not to exceed price of 9.2 for the first year, not to exceed price of 7 for the years after. If between now and June 1st, this 9.2 price could be lowered, we'd send a confirmation to say, hey, we've secured a lower price.
Okay, so we don't have to worry, because I feel like it's a little bit volatile now with
It
maybe
is.
the new administration. Who knows what's going to happen?
So you're
Yeah.
locking us now, but we could relock lower.
Correct.
but
So
prior to June 1.
between now
Okay,
and the
that's good.
contract starts, if there is a lower point, we say, hey, I'll send to whoever you'd like, but happy to send it to Michelle to say,
Yeah.
hey, confirmation that we've secured a lower contract rate, and that will be what starts on June instead of the 9.2.
Yeah,
It would
and
not be higher than that price.
We're here because our contract expires in May, so we need to move into something,
Yeah, when is it? Is it June 1st or is it?
June 1st
Ju-
would be the new
So it
contract.
expires the last day of May?
And end of
Is that
May
right?
for your
Yeah.
electric.
Okay, that's good.
With the .092 rate, how much of that is energy?
Yeah, so energy is probably, I would say 6 cents of that right
Okay.
now. We had a little bit of a market run-up. The bulk of the rest of that is capacity, and then, as I said, RPS losses, ancillaries.
So 3 cents capacity and then 0.2 cents others.
And then we're discussing going from June 2026 forward, having basically a commitment for an additional cent increase in energy with capacity to then be adjustable.
Yes.
Because now right now it's 6, and then next year it would be 7, basically.
Right now, our 6.7 is inclusive of
Right,
everything,
I'm
from
sorry,
my understanding.
what we're
but-
looking at for starting June is 6, so it would continue to go up.
And I think that, seems with the information that we have in front of us, that it's really not the energy that is, pricing that is spiking, is really the capacity
It is.
that's causing the bill to go
Yeah,
up.
so of the 0.67 we have now, or 0.067 we have now, how much is capacity and how much is energy? Like our
Capacity
current
is 4% of that,
4%?
yes. So fairly low.
Yeah.
In
So it's
comparison.
going,
Yeah.
versus like
That's-
50%.
Correct. Yeah, so it will now make up 20% of the bill, 25% of the bill. It's currently 4% of your rate.
Wow. And so that, well, have we ever done that, but we've never had a contract with the adjustable capacity?
You've not, mostly because capacity was known more years into the future.
Okay.
Right, so we knew what it was. We're just at this weird point where we don't know what it is. We're not gonna know until your contract already starts. And I would just hate to lose a good energy position in the market while we're waiting for something you're just gonna have to pay for anyways. Is the thought process there. I did wanna also make a note about that 7 cents for the years after. Same thing, right? So if there's a lower point in the market, before that starts, we'll say, hey, just wanted to let you know, we were able to secure a lower price. That's what's going to be effective instead of this. But this is a cap, right? It won't go higher than the 9.2 with capacity, and it won't go higher than the 7 cents, subject to the capacity adjustment.
So just to clarify that, with June 2026 going forward, we'd be potentially locking in a lower adjustable capacity product. We would not have the option to lock in capacity.
Once it is known, then we would lock in the capacity price, and we would say, okay, here's what the final price is. So as we're getting close to that June 1st period, say we have to send another opt-out to let everyone know, here's the price. Let you guys know, here was the price, here's what capacity contributed, here's what energy contributed, and this gives you your new fixed price for the next year.
Okay, so it's adjusted annually?
It is, annually.
Okay.
Yep. And if PJM catches up, right, if we know this more into the future, we don't have to wait around every year. But at this point in time, unfortunately, it's just
It'd be nice if data centers built their own power generation.
it would be very nice.
So even despite the delay with Intel, it's still remaining high?
Yeah. It's remaining high. There's also, and we could talk about this, because this is just electric, right? So we also need to talk about the natural gas. But electric prices are very heavily tied to the price of natural gas. And as we're seeing with, the tariff wars that are going on, the tariffs against Canada and Mexico just went into effect yesterday. And we saw a giant spike in near-term pricing. Most of that is an emotional reaction, right? It's not really following the fundamentals of the market. We saw a very large reaction in the market to that because we import a lot of natural gas from Canada. Yesterday, the Northeast actually became an exporter of natural gas, which is very atypical to happen because
The northeast of this country.
Yeah, because of those tariffs. So again, we'll see. It's just a lot right now of this new presidency. It's new. We don't know the impact of the tariffs are going to happen. The support for domestic drilling is obviously there, but if all of that goes into liquefied natural gas and gets sent overseas, it'll be a higher dollar amount that we get. Good for the economy, but not good for, the people who have to pay their natural gas bills. We don't know yet, and there's not enough time for us to know. So we're trying to, work with the information we have available and protect against that volatility into the future and higher prices in the future. So I'm happy to go into natural gas if you want. There's no slide in here on natural gas. We can talk more about electricity if there's more questions.
I don't have any
don't think
more
I have.
right now.
No.
And did they both expire at the same time?
So natural gas expires 1 month earlier, but there is a regulatory event that is taking place on April 1st. Same type of thing. It impacts everybody. Doesn't matter if you're with utility aggregation, if you've chosen your own supplier. That is going to raise prices also 20%.
How much percent, what?
20%.
Is that what this one is for? Is this the gas one? This is
No,
electric.
that's
This is still electric.
No, why are those going up?
So there is a pipeline that goes through 9 different states. It's a Canadian-owned pipeline, ironically. And the pipeline operator is saying it costs us more to maintain this pipeline. So everybody who participates, which Columbia Gas of Ohio participates, they get their gas from that pipeline. They say, you have to pay us more money now.
And that was approved by the PUCO?
No, it's actually under FERC regulation because it's 9 states, it's not just Ohio.
So they can just do whatever they want?
So
Or-
FERC actually said,
What's FERC stand for?
Federal Energy Regulatory Committee.
Thank you.
Sure. So FERC actually said, we don't think so. We don't think it costs that much more. We'll let you start passing it through on April 1st, but it's subject to refund. So meaning, we're gonna hear your side of the argument. We're gonna hear the other side of the argument. That's probably gonna take 6 to 12 months. But at the end of this whole hearing, this rate case hearing, if we say, no, it didn't cost you that much, then you have to refund that money back to customers.
So they're kind of like the PUCO, but for, is
Kind
it
of
federal?
on a federal
Is it
level.
federal, is it a government agency?
Yeah, it is.
And what's it stand for again?
Federal Energy Regulatory Commission.
And does it govern the entire United States or just a section?
Yeah, so it's over the
Okay.
entire US. There's not one national grid, we're broken up into different
Oh.
grids, but they're like the utmost authority of energy across the country.
They are?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So, with that change taking effect April 1st, we would be looking to change your natural gas contract April 1st to align with that. Currently, you're in a fixed natural gas price. Your contract is coming up in a couple of months, so we need to make the decision anyways. With those things I just said, we don't know what's going to happen with the price of natural gas with certainty. We just don't feel comfortable saying you should enter into another fixed price right now. We'd like to structure it the way that the utility is structured, and it would be a guaranteed discount to the utility. So the utility has their natural gas costs, and they have what's called an adder. So it'd be a 2% discount to that adder. Now, in this type of product structure, again, at any point during the contract, we could convert it to a fixed price. We might want to do that before winter next year. But right now, people aren't going to be using a lot of natural gas. They're going to save some, it's a small savings, 2% off of the adder is very small, but at least you know it's savings. So not going to be paying over the utility price. And then as we see kind of what settles over the next 6 months here, we could look at doing a fixed price, or we could remain on, a price that's structured with the utility where it changes every month. That cost would be exactly the same as the utility. The difference is that adder is at a discount, 2%.
So if we didn't aggregate gas, it would be the cost of the utility, but because we're aggregating, then we save 2% of that adder.
That's correct.
Okay.
The other thing that's important to note here, when I said that subject to refund part, if you're with the utility, you don't get the refund. The utility keeps it. If you're with a third-party supplier, specifically ones that we've vetted, right? So not every third-party supplier is going to honor that, but they will give that refund back to the customer. And that could be structured as, hey, we're gonna give you a lower price, or we're gonna give you some type of bill credit, but at least we know that the customer will end up getting it back. If you're with the utility, you will not get that refund back.
So if you choose not to aggregate, you will not get that back.
Correct.
So as far as the terms of the gas agreement goes, this would take over the one that we have starting April 1st? So would that be, because I wanted them to both co-terminate, it's just easier administratively for us.
Yep.
Would this be a 3-year and 1-month contract
Yeah.
then?
So they would both
Okay.
expire in May of 2028.
Okay.
Go through the end of May of 2028.
Okay.
Yep. And like I said, you can adjust that at any point. If we say, okay, this is a good time to lock into a fixed rate, we could do it. But we could do it just for a year, right? We wouldn't have to do the remaining 2 years at a fixed price, or we could do it for 6 months, or, whatever made sense at that point in time. We just don't know enough to make a confident decision at this point to say, you should definitely lock in a fixed price for gas.
How do we let the residents know who utilize the aggregation program all this? Like, this is like, an hour-long conversation. Is there information that you guys send out, paperwork, emails, whatever, that boils it all down and explains it clearly?
So with the with the opt-out letter, there's FAQs that go out.
Okay.
We could do a separate mailer that we've done before. We could also give you this deck or some version of this to post on your website. If you do some type of a newsletter that gets sent out, we've done that for our communities where we've given a little write-up to recap all of this. It's like a page that's dedicated to the newsletter. So, you just let us know, I think, what's the best platform to do that. But, we're having this same discussion with all of our communities right now.
Right.
Everyone except 3 are up for renewal and in this exact same situation. So just depends on, what works best for them.
I like the idea of the newsletter, because our mailed-in one is going out in April, so.
Yeah, just so that you guys write it, but, because I don't think
Yeah,
we're
sure. We'll
smart
be
enough
happy
to
to.
write it.
Yeah.
It's your baby, but in a way that those people who have no idea, like, let us, I don't know, let my child vet it or something like that, right? Like it was, so we can dumb it way down, so those
I
of us
think
who aren't involved.
AEP Ohio has also been putting out publications
Yeah.
about rate increases.
Yeah, I
I
think
think they did that last
I saw that.
summer or fall in anticipation of the summer.
Yep, so they haven't started putting it out officially yet ahead of June 1st, because their price changes on June 1st too. But they just held the final part of their auction to set their price to compare yesterday. So I imagine those are coming out in the next month here. Yeah, happy to, you tell me how much space we have in the newsletter, we could write something up
Yeah.
for that.
I just don't want people to think the township is
Doing
responsible
any
for
of this,
increasing their
correct.
energy
Right.
costs
And
when it's
that's-
actually
So
It's the
capacity
unfortunate
issue.
thing
But
that
they still will.
everybody is subject to that.
Yeah. So, for the board's consideration, there are two resolutions in front of you. Both of the master service agreements have been approved or vetted both by Trubell and our prosecutor's office, so that we are ready to move forward with them if that is of interest.
Okay, one more question. What was this graph for?
That's the savings. That's to show you monthly savings against price to compare. So that matches up with that first slide of the
Okay.
$2.7 million in savings. So that should be on the far right-hand side at the bottom.
Okay, so this is like the breakdown of that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That is a monthly breakdown to show you, here's
Of what
utility.
we saved last year?
Yep.
Okay.
Can you, in the last page of the slide deck, or second to last page of the slide deck, speak to some of the potential changes we're seeing in energy legislation down the State House, and if they will affect aggregation programs in particular?
Yeah, so this HB 15, that's what's going on right now. It will not impact aggregation programs. Much of what this is reiterating things that went wrong with HB 6. So a lot of the subsidies that were paid out, this is making an extra effort to say, nope, we want that done away with. It's further clarifying tax obligations to say the tax burden is on this party, not this party. It's further stating and supporting that in a competitive market, a generator has to remain separate from, from competition from a third-party supplier. So none of this is particularly new. It's really just reiterating the things that have existed within the deregulated market for some time. The supplier consolidated billing, so the second to last item, that's new. We'll see if that sticks. Right now, it's utility consolidated billing. So everybody that's in the aggregation program, they get one bill, comes from the utility, and then it has aggregation charges on there. This would now be the opposite, where let's say Archer Energy or Dynegy or Energy Harbor, they would send the bill, and then they'd present the utility charges on there. I don't know if that's going to stick or not. It's going to require suppliers to post a good deal of collateral to be able to do that. I don't know if they want to do that. But that's the only one that's really a change from what currently exists.
That is related to consumer choice billing that they're considering enacting.
Yep, that they would consider that the supplier does the billing instead of the utility. So that would, it would impact residents that are participating in the aggregation program. They would still get one bill. It would just be from a different entity. But that would also impact people, who have chosen their own agreement outside of aggregation.
So my family's house is in the suburban natural gas area, which they obviously don't aggregate. So if I think Lisa's is in Columbia Gas, so is Lisa's bill from Columbia Gas, or is Lisa's bill from Trubell or Archer?
Columbia.
Columbia, okay. So now, if this were to change, would it then be from Archer Energy versus Columbia?
I believe this only pertains to electricity. I'm not sure if it
sorry.
pertains to gas, but I'll double check on that.
So like, would it be, right now it's from AEP, instead it would be from
Archer? Yeah.
Okay.
But I am happy to talk through, these more, but none of this is really particularly new. These are all mentioned within the bill. It's more to support, hey, we want to reiterate these things have to remain with deregulation, and we want these lingering subsidiaries from House Bill 6 to go away. I know that was a lot.
Thank you for answering all our
And
questions.
and lengthy, but I think it's all important stuff to talk about, and to understand. I don't want to show up and say, hey, your price is going up 20%. I prefer you to know the why behind it.
Yeah.
And it's all things that are impacting us, I'm sure until, again, it's delayed now, but I'm sure, you know, you get calls and concerns about development, and the utility is doing infrastructure upgrades, and they're always out there working, and, you know, this is all the reason behind that.
Any other questions?
So technically, from what we're paying now to what you're proposing, it's around a nearly 50% increase? Like if we're paying .06?
Yeah, if you're 6.7, and then you'd be going up to 9.2, and again, 9.2 would be the maximum.
That's huge.
Yeah.
That's, yeah,
But better than 10.
wow.
9.2 is better
Ask the
than 10.
residents, it's gonna be hard to explain that to them.
Yeah, that's why I was asking if you could put together something in
Sure. Yeah.
layman's speak.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's really no opportunity to make it better today.
No,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
No, but they were talking about a 20% increase, but that's not what's gonna actually happen for our residents because it was already being,
Because it was lower.
yeah.
Being reduced, yeah.
Gotcha. And maybe that would be something to include in our verbiage. You know, it would have been a less of an increase, but we would have been paying more over the last 3 years, had we not aggregated.
We'll try to do the best messaging as possible.
No, I don't want us to do with the messaging, I want
Well,
Eric
I
to give us the messaging.
I understand, but I mean, it's just, it's not a fun conversation, whether it comes from us or our provider, so.
And, you know, always send those calls to us.
Right,
that
and
you
that's why
get
we
any
utilize you
concern.
guys, because you can be the explainer, and we can
Yep.
be the listening ear, and then we can be like, here, talk to someone who's super knowledgeable.
Yeah, no, please do.
We're super knowledgeable in some things, but maybe not in aggregation.
Yeah, so it's closer to maybe like a 40% increase, and they can just call Governor DeWine and complain about that.
Senator
We can
Houston
give
for
them numbers
bringing
for FERC, for
I'll do
PJM,
that.
we can get everybody
Complaints.
involved.
So do we have to decide this night? Do we want to think about it a little bit, or are you
It's
guys
really-
ready to go? Or I feel like my brain is a little bit
I don't know that
full.
there's anything really to think about, though, right? Yeah.
Well,
I don't- I guess
how long
there's-
is the
I
contract
don't know what
for?
I could change.
How long is the contract for?
I think the
It's
contract's
3
for 3 years.
yeah.
For both?
Through the end
So are we
of May
deciding gas
2020.
now?
The gas would be a variable rate, yeah.
Or just, I'm sorry, what?
The gas is a variable rate, and then we can
Okay.
we have the opportunity to lock in a fixed rate if there is a better one that comes around.
But again, that variable rate is the same as the utility, right? It's not gonna be anything different except you're paying that.
Yeah, I'm
2%.
okay with, I guess I'm okay with that one. With the electric though, so how many years will the contract? So are you saying that if we sign a 3-year contract now and rates go down for electric, that we could get a low rate before June 1st?
Correct, so
What
between,
if-
oops, sorry.
Yeah, what if the rates went down in August? At that point, we're locked in.
No,
So you'd be locked in for that first year,
Okay.
but then we could look at those years 2 and 3 to lower that price as it comes on.
Okay, so if it were to go down after June 1st, we're still stuck at
Yeah,
what we locked in.
for a year.
Okay.
And then we're subject to the renegotiation, which, like I said, there's not a lot of incentive for them to do that, and we'll have to extend the
Well, it's incentive
contract.
for us to do it, right? Because we want you guys to
Yeah,
have the
it's
lowest
for
rate
you. Yeah,
possible.
that's a good
Right.
point.
So,
Yeah.
and we only work with suppliers who are willing to operate in that way.
But we're still committing, so right now, things are really uncertain. We're still committing to be with Archer for 3 years, but if it drops by June 1st, we don't have, we can easily negotiate for whatever the new price is versus after the first year, when we can't renegotiate within the first year after starting June 1st.
Yeah, so we could bring down the last 2 years of the contract, right? Or we could do a blend and extend at that time, but then you would be, extending the agreement.
Yeah, I think
Which
that's
is-
all they really offered. They offered a pittance last time. Remember, and it was not much at all, like couple of cents, and then, or the blend and extend, which was also risky because we had to extend the contract by several years.
if the board wanted to do a 1 year for the electric, that is something we could work with you on as far as the term. If we,
You
cha-
could, yeah, you could
Yeah.
do a 1 year for the electric.
so I would
Like I
just.
said, it's just,
But then
the
we're not
cost
locked in at the
avoidance.
.7.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
that's why I wanted, maybe, if it's not urgent, maybe push it to the next meeting, because that's the thing is it going to be 1 year or 2 years or 3 years?
We also run the risk of more volatility
Yeah.
between now and when we would lock it in. So presumably, we get the .09 locked in now, but if we waited a
2
month, we
It
might
could
not
change.
have that guarantee.
Well, no, because can't we, oh, you're saying it could go up between now and
Yes,
then?
yeah, they might then
The
offer us
lowest
a
available might be,
.10
right, yeah, 10 or
to lock in.
10, 2 or.
Which with, the uncertainty around tariffs and how that will, I think, lag and impact the energy industry, I think there's gonna be a lot of uncertainty the next couple months.
Yeah, I just don't like to make a decision the very first time I've like, been able to
You know.
look at something. I don't like high-pressure stuff at all.
How, like 2 weeks ago, prior to the tariffs kicking in, what could we have locked in at that point? I'm super just curious.
I think pricing we were seeing then was, I'd say like 8.7, 8.8 is what we're seeing. So I mean, we saw a very large run-up with the recent announcement of the tariffs. Now we think it'll, come off a little bit, but I don't know how long of a time that's gonna be. It's just hard to say, it's kind of uncharted territory for everybody here.
No, 2 weeks might not be bad, though, to let things calm down. I know
Yeah,
the
I
stock
kinda
market's a little crazy right now.
Everything is crazy.
Well, and that's, I
Yeah.
think, kind of the point of this language in the contract too, to say if at some point, right, okay, we're not
That's
gonna
right.
Oh, right,
exceed
we
the
could
9.2.
say, we
Yeah, we
could
could
say
still
yes
lower it.
today, and it could come down in 2 weeks, and we could say, okay, now we get the lower one.
Correct.
Yeah,
We have up
I
until
would
June
just
1st.
come back here to make that amendment.
Yeah. So we can
Yeah.
always get lower. If the market goes lower, it can get lower up until
Yeah,
June
is it 1 year or
31st.
3 years? We're looking at the terms of the contract, and if we lock in now for 3 years, we're still locked in for 3 years.
I think your prior contract was a 2-year contract? Let's see,
Yeah,
July 21,
that sounds right.
July 22. So it was a 2.5-year contract for 2 contracts ago. And then, same, 2.5-year contract for the current one.
Would we be more comfortable locking in for 2 years versus 3?
I'm not sure, because I just kind of had all this thrown at me, and I don't know if I can make a good decision today.
Yeah, there's a couple options. We can pass these resolutions today and then work with Travell to see if we can have better rates by the June 1st or even April 1st for gas. So keep an eye on those dates, so we might see something at the next meeting anyways. Or we can table these agreements to the March 19th meeting if you guys need a little more time to review, with the risk that something could change with the rates in the next 2 weeks.
So that we lose the rate we're at now as
Yeah.
being the lowest.
So there is a risk.
Ceiling.
I think we always face that when it comes to this.
Yeah, but usually we get it, and we usually do wait a couple weeks, because there's no way we could possibly understand everything she's explained today in an email. So I just feel like I'm still digesting it.
So the natural gas is more time sensitive.
Yeah, I
because
think I'm
that
okay with the
comes
natural
into
gas,
effect
I
on
think.
April 1st.
So you're saying that for the natural gas, can you explain that one again? You're just proposing a reduction on the rate?
Yes, it would be structured exactly like the utility is structured, but on the adder, it would be a 2% discount. So you know that your residents will never pay more than the utility. And then if we find a good fixed rate position, we could convert that to be fixed. But right now, it would follow what the utility follows.
So you're saying there's no good fixed rates right now
It's
that,
too volatile to be able to say this is a good time to make a fixed price contract. And especially with the announcement of the tariffs, everything for this winter and next winter has just gotten so inflated that it wouldn't make sense to say. I wouldn't feel good to sit here and say, you should do a fixed contract for natural gas right now.
yeah.
Besides just digesting the
March,
information
April,
we've
May.
received, is there any additional information at the moment that you think would be helpful in considering a contract? I don't know that.
I'm happy to talk through it.
Yeah, I don't know, it's a lot of information all at once.
Lisa, do you want me to set a time with you and Aaron to kind of go over this more, or?
No, I just want to look at it more and understand it more. I think maybe the gas, I guess if we can't lock in, and is the gas a 3-year contract?
It would be a 3-year
Yeah.
contract.
I was proposing them to have both co-terminate.
On the same time?
Yeah, just
Like May 1st or April 1st?
It's something, is it
Could
May
both be April?
28th?
Yeah, so we go through
April 1st.
the end of May, and that's to keep it aligned. So if you want to keep them coterminous, right, you have your gas and electric come up at the same time.
But what happens for that month where, isn't the gas up April 1st?
It is April 1st, the regulatory thing comes into effect. But if you want to keep them lined up, we should keep it on this June, so it expires in May, so it stays with the capacity of June 1st, right?
When does the current contract expire?
For
For
natural
gas.
gas, it's in May.
Both of them end in May.
Oh, okay, all right.
So then are we good to go ahead and lock in the natural gas one today, since
Well,
that was more time
yeah,
sensitive?
I guess if, why is it more time sensitive again?
Because that
Because
one,
there's a regulatory change coming on April 1st.
we want to lock in prior to that, is that correct? Yeah.
And either if you don't, then we have to send a regulatory letter out to everybody to say this is what's happening. Then a month later, we have to send an opt-out letter to everybody. And I think we probably don't want all of that noise going on. So
Yes.
trying to minimize that and then stay aligned with getting ahead of that regulatory change.
But March 19th, we couldn't make that decision March 19th, because we're not locking in a rate, right? We're just locking in the 2% discount. So what if somehow we decided we wanted a 2-year contract, and then we were locked in for gas at 3 years?
I see what you're saying.
March 19th, we would have to send the regulatory letter out before that.
So why are we doing this now instead of like a month ago?
I think.
We didn't know about a month ago,
Well,
unfortunately,
and
too.
I think our experience always with aggregation, it is a very time-sensitive matter. It's
Yeah.
never something I can prepare in advance.
Well,
Erin has
we've never
been-
chosen the very day, though, have we? I think we
Oh,
always
oh,
ask for 2 weeks unless we've,
I would say her predecessor was not as.
Less accommodating?
Less accommodating, so, yes, we have been thrown several, we used to have special meetings because it had to be addressed immediately, so, I think just,
Oh, okay.
unfortunately, with the world of aggregation, these tend to be time sensitive.
but I can't think of the time that, like, normally at least we'd get the information at one meeting and make the decision at the next.
It has happened in my time here.
Would
Right.
we have to send out those regulatory notices if we had a special meeting on the 12th?
I'll have to check the exact date. I think the 7th is the cutoff, but let me check the exact date. for
So
that.
Friday.
Like 2 days.
Yeah, what's today, Wednesday? Yeah.
Five.
Yeah.
So it's- yeah.
I mean, personally, I think the risk of waiting 2 weeks versus the cost to resident confusion for sending out unnecessary notices weighs in favor for me personally in making a decision now rather than, going through that. 'Cause I think the confusion that we'll have for our residents, at least on the gas side, for receiving that notice, maybe we go through a lot of headache to eventually then approve potentially a variable rate discount, which is the only option that we really want to consider on the table right now.
So do you say March 12th does not work?
I'll have to check. I don't think so. I think the 7th is the cutoff, but I'll have to check. The suppliers, they have to file the PUCO schedule to get things out ahead of time.
If you two are ready to decide, I mean, you can.
We could decide on gas and leave electric till the next regular meeting.
Yeah, if you decide to go for 3 years and then we change and go to electric
Then
for
we're
2,
just not
then,
we
yeah,
don't
yeah, that's my only
coterminous.
concern. I don't know. It's just a lot of information at once.
And this is by no means, I'm not trying to do a high-pressure thing. It just is a time-sensitive, and we didn't know about the regulatory change for gas a month ago. Want to make sure we're getting ahead of it, and there's no surprises, and you're not
And I
just
think
getting a
we were
regulatory
supposed,
letter.
you were supposed to be on the agenda a couple weeks ago.
Oh, yeah.
But then,
What
I was
happened?
very ill.
yeah, she got very sick.
Oh, that's
very,
right.
very
Oh, that's the problem. I forgot about
Thank you for
that.
not bringing us your
You're
sickness.
very welcome.
Good job.
Well,
Keep
what's
it in
being-
check.
That's right, yeah.
What's being proposed for electric, years 2 and 3 is the same, essentially, same terms. So is there an offer on the table to do what's being proposed for year 1 and then have that adjustable capacity product for year 2 and just do it a 2-year contract?
We could do that. It's going to change that 7-cent price, right? Because the further you go
Okay, so they're
out.
anticipating that being 2 years
Yeah.
of that rate format locked in.
Would that 7-cent price go up?
Correct.
Aaron, if the board wanted to move forward with the gas, and then for electric for the next meeting, March 19th, could we have like different, like a 1-year, 2-year, 3-year term, like scenario of how that rate would be?
Sure, we could
Okay.
do that.
So
For
that's-
what, electric? So we
Yeah,
don't have that
electric.
right now?
No, I only have it for a 3-year.
We don't have the one or the two? Okay.
No, those price options are higher,
Yeah.
right?
Okay, that would be nice to have, though, to help make a decision.
I'm assuming they're still going to be higher in 2 weeks from now. That the 1 year will be higher, the highest, the 2-year, and then the 3-year.
Yeah, but in the past, when we got in our packet, it would say the different years, like 1, 2, or 3, so you could
Yeah,
compare.
I mean, again, if we co-terminate both, because it gives us the opportunity to look at different options. I'm not saying we want to leave Trebell by any means, but co-terminating both gas and electric helps us shop around. We did our due diligence, we wanted to, Trebell was the best option for now. I mean,
Yeah,
hopefully
if we
forever.
postpone, or if we split the decisions, we'll likely end up
I-
potentially
yeah.
splitting
Yeah, the providers,
contracts co-terminating,
yeah.
which isn't necessarily an issue, but if you wanted to then switch between providers, you wouldn't be able to.
Yeah, and it would confuse the resident more. They'll get all sorts of different
And
communications.
when did you say you have to, what was the date? The 7th,
Friday.
Friday? Oh, wait, but you said you weren't sure of the deadline, or,
The 7th is what I have in my head. I don't know if there's any buffer room built into there or not, but that's the date we've been going off of. There's a certain amount of days that you have to send ahead of April 1st. That's got to be filed that way with Public Utility Commission.
I mean, if you guys are totally comfortable with, you can
I
do
don't know
it.
that there's
I-
any additional digging that I would do
Yeah,
between now, so that's the,
Yeah, if there's not,
Yeah.
if you guys are comfortable with it, I'm fine with it,
okay.
I guess.
So we're good to go ahead and do 3 years for both?
That's what we're proposing, is a 3 years for both, to have them be
Because we can,
coterminous.
like we said, the 3 years is a better deal for the residents, because if it's a shorter term, it's a higher price.
It's a higher cost.
We're
for
locking
them.
in at a higher
There's
price.
not necessarily a benefit to having a 3-year adjustable rate gas contract, it's just that it will be coterminous.
Right.
That's the advantage of having it be 3 years. And since we have the option to lock that in, and with the electric, we have the option to reduce that rate before June.
Yeah, I mean,
Any other option would
because we
increase
can
the cost.
continue to bring it down, it won't go any higher than we have right now. We know that it went higher in the last 2 weeks, so, and it can, if it goes down, we can capture that.
Yes.
But, by the end of.
And what is the
May.
natural gas rate right now?
I think Columbia's most recent rate is 5.5, is what they've posted, and it's going to go up next year, next month, because February was very, very cold.
It was very cool.
Yeah. And then plus that adder that's in there, that's another, like, right now, 1.6,
When do the new rates come out for gas?
every month.
Okay, so the first, so it will go up next month, because is that how it works, if it's
Yeah,
cold?
it's looking at the month before. So March will be reflective of what happened in February. But then April is gonna be reflective of March, and it's probably gonna go down, because it's supposed to be unseasonably warm going into March.
Okay, so it would go to .0992 in, on June 1st, is that what you're saying?
Back on electric, yeah.
But someone could jump on, like currently, there's some rates for 12 months for 7.6 cents, for example, on the apples to apples. There's one that has a $75 early termination fee, and one that's like 8 cents that has none, so people can jump on those for 12 months if they
That-
want.
They could, and that starts today, right? So the difference is June 1st versus today. So we still have these, it's what, March, April, May, 3 months of the lower capacity. So it's bringing that overall cost down.
Yeah, that's right, yeah, it's
Yep.
still lower.
Yep. But that's compared to, if they want to pay at 8 cent right now, compared to the aggregation rate, that's at 6.5 for the next 3
Because,
months.
Yeah.
because we
Yeah,
get
yeah,
to keep
yeah,
the
yeah.
6.5
Yeah.
through the end of this.
Yeah.
Through the end of
May. Okay.
May, right, okay.
personally, I like to keep them coterminous, which I think means we should, vote on both of them. It gives us the most options, I think.
Yeah, I've just been doing my own aggregation since literally winter 1999, like
Yeah.
my own, so I
Yeah,
have a lot
your-
of,
yeah, your,
lot of experience with
history is very
that,
helpful.
yeah.
And my property doesn't.
Yeah, oh, yeah, you have,
I
solar,
can't-
yeah, it
yeah, I
doesn't even affect you.
Yeah. Although I do aggregate with electric. 'cause
Oh,
of
yeah,
the-
yeah,
yeah,
yep,
I
yep,
do
that's
AP.
true, and that's a
Yeah.
big one, I think.
Yeah, I always check my monthly bill to make sure our rate, aggregation rate is lower than the price to compare.
Right.
So, I mean, that's also the good news, right? That we're gonna be under the price to compare. It's just that delta right now is greater than what that delta is gonna be. But I think that's the goal, right, is to create savings, to create a safety net for people who don't know enough to shop, to make sure we vetted everything, that there's no secret fees, there's no termination fee, there's nothing that's gonna be some gotcha. And if they're savvy enough to find something on their own, awesome.
That's great.
Right? Great.
So basically, I should go home and check my electric contract, make sure I'm getting the .065, assuming I'm with you guys.
You should be.
I should be. I do it, but like whether it's in my, it's not front
Unless you
of mind,
responded to
guys.
that opt-out
It was not my review the electric bill.
After this lengthy discussion, I bet it will be in front of mind.
It will be, yeah,
An
and I'll go home
hour
and
and
check
then-
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm on one of them and not on the other one, but actually I need to check when I go home.
Yeah.
I might be getting the 12-month expiration with the rate jumps if you don't hop off,
Yeah,
so.
yeah. Yeah, and those, you definitely have to, you see, you're savvy enough to know that, most people aren't. They don't pay attention, and the next thing they know.
Oh, it's
they're month
horrible. They'll
13,
double it.
14,
Yeah,
They
you
will
sometimes see
double it.
posts on Nextdoor like, my bill went up.
Double.
Yeah.
Literally. They can raise into anything they want.
Yeah.
Any other questions for Aaron?
I don't have any.
Okay, well, thank you, Aaron. We
Thank you,
appreciate
Aaron.
all the information.
Sure, yeah,
Uh,
anytime.
Go ahead and make some motions. So I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2571, a resolution approving a First Amendment to the Master Services Agreement with Archer Energy LLC to extend the MSA and establish a fixed rate price for the township's electric aggregation program.
Second.
Roll call, trustee Knapp?
Abstain.
Trustee Faust?
Yes.
Trustee Ringle?
Yes.
And that's the .90. Yeah, okay. I had to fill that in for the resolution.
Make a motion to approve Resolution 2572, resolution approving a third amendment to the Master Services Agreement with Archer Energy LLC to extend the MSA and establish a variable rate price for the township's natural gas aggregation program.
Second.
Roll call, trustee Knapp?
Abstain.
Trustee Faust?
Yes.
Trustee Ringle?
Yes. Thank you very much.
All right,
Thanks,
thank
Erin.
you. Again, thank you. I know it was lengthy. Thank
No,
you.
we appreciate you answering our questions.
Yeah,
Thanks, Erin.
anytime, really, happy.
Is there any new business or old business?
Nope.
All right, seeing none, I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2586, meeting adjournment.
Second.
Roll call, trustee Knapp?
Yes?
Trustee Faust?
Yes.
Trustee Ringle?
Yes, meeting adjourned.